I will tell you that George Soros is not to be discussed. It is verboten. When I got down to the end, one of the things at Fox News, they were starting to tell me I can't talk about things. I just talk about this. Stop talking about that. One of them was God. One of them was Israel. And the other one was George Soros. And if you remember, Glenn, you won't play the game. The problem with you is you won't play the game. If you've ever heard me tell that story, that conversation started with George Soros. I'm not going to play the game with George Soros. I won't. And how can you be an honest reporter if you won't report the reported fact, that what Newt Gingrich said is absolutely true? How can you have a conversation to try to fix anything? This is why he is so off limits, because what is being done to our country, his fingerprints are all over it. It is his original plan of civil society 2.0 that was a global plan that was to collapse certain countries. Of course, not America. But he worked with the Clinton State Department and the Obama administration, and they implemented Civil Society 2.0, and at that time, they came up with their 7 pillars of color revolution. This is what we exposed, and we didn't realize what we were exposing in Ukraine. Ukraine isn't just about Joe Biden and money laundering that we now know is happening with Hunter Biden. It wasn't just about him having criminal ties in Ukraine. What they were doing in Ukraine was and we showed you the documents, was a plan that was hatched by George Soros, our State Department, and the Clintons. And it was to gain power over certain countries and rewrite their constitution and rewrite their justice system. And it was to put George Soros's people in as a shadow, and they would control the attorney general. That's why those investigators were fired, because some of them were looking into George Soros. And if you remember right, we have the documentation that the embassy was telling the investigators to stop looking into certain people. Do you remember that? Oh, no, he didn't write it down. No, you don't need to write it down. It was spoken to you. You don't, these are untouchable people. One of those is George Soros. George Soros's money has gone into almost all of what we are seeing, including Black Lives Matter. All of these things, his fingerprints are on. He is either directly supporting or indirectly supporting. Last night, we spent about 30 minutes going over what we showed you in the past year. All of the things that we have proven in the last year. And we showed you how they have all of the levers that they need for a revolution. Those are the things that I have been looking for, unbeknownst to you. I've had a list of things that I've been working on since about 2008. They needed media, Hollywood, social media, and culture. They have that. They've had that for a long time. But social media, Facebook, YouTube, Google, it is getting dangerous. And I truly believe that if these things come to pass, voices like mine, voices that even say something was wrong with the election, will be silenced on all social media platforms. It's why I've been saying, please, if you can't subscribe to The Blaze, please at least subscribe to our newsletters at theblaze.com and also at glennbeck.com, so we have a way to communicate with you. We know that they have EDU. It's what we've been exposing, how bad this is getting. They have deep state and corrupt politicians. The left, why does the right seem to not ever fight on things? Because you have corrupt politicians. You have deep state. The CDC just this week disobeyed a presidential directive, an actual order from the president to not teach Marxism to any administration and its offices. Well, the CDC decided they were going to do a 13-week course. Didn't matter what the president said. That's deep state. You need money. You need the Fed. You need money the modern money monetary theory. You need to have the businesses. You need to crush the small businesses and keep the big businesses that will play ball. Have you noticed how fast these companies are to sign up for anti-American things? Because, as Soros's people told me in 2010, the ship is already sailed, and your boss is either on it or he is not, and he'll be left behind. But the ship is already sailed. Okay, well, I don't want to be on that ship, but most people are. The other things you needed the bottom up. We know that they have that. They've had it for a long time. But BLM, Antifa, Democratic Socialists, all of these groups that we showed you last night, all of these groups, they've had, and it's coordinated. It's not a coincidence. Do you remember when we were talking about the Arab Spring? What was the word that they used over and over and over again during the Arab Spring? You remember? Spontaneous. Mm-hmm. These were just spontaneous riots. No, they weren't. We now know that Facebook, Google, YouTube, all of those people and the State Department were involved. We know that the Syrian thing, that was another piece of it. The Libyan, we came, we saw, he died. That was the State Department. We know that Ukraine, we know that Russia, those color revolutions were done by us. You need to know these things, and not just because I said it. You need to know them because you may be the person that has to carry this torch. And you need to have your credibility. You need to know how to live your life and not become crazy, not become an agent of chaos. There is a rule of law, and there's some really good things that are coming from Bob Barr in an interview just today that I saw. There's shocking what he is saying. The rule of law is going to drop the hammer. And if it is Donald Trump doing it, I believe it will be a good thing because it will be constitutional. If it is not Donald Trump, or if the right lashes out, and I want you to know, I do not consider Nazis right. They're left. They're socialists. They don't like the Constitution. They don't want the Constitution. They want the destruction of America as we know it for their utopia. That's not right. That's European right. But they will get involved because when this destruction comes, they will add to the chaos, which is why you must not. We have to pray. We have to believe in God's divine providence. We have to keep our heads. We have to remain standing. We have to know what's going on and stand with the rule of law.